week's episode of the Lumber Word. It is Easter week, day before Good Friday, April 2nd.
Actually, it's called Holy Week. I mean, you're a good Catholic. Come on, get with it, brother.
Yeah, no, I am. I am a good Catholic. And we are rolling into this week. Good week so far. Couple just cleanup items. This will be one of the last weeks we do it live because I kind of took all your guys' advice. Greg called me Sunday and he goes, I listened to the whole podcast while I was out for a walk, and there was a lot of ads on Spotify. And there was the good one ad in the middle, but there's a lot of other ads on there. And this morning I woke up at like 3 a.m. I'm like, Matt and Charles have been saying it, and I sent a thing over to Dave. I'm like, not this week, but next week we're going to put the podcast out for subscribers the day after. And
we lost Charles.
And for
He'll be back.
And for non-subscribers, let me bring him back in here. And for non-subscribers, they'll still get it, but it'll be 3 days later. So everybody can listen to the same great content. But if you're a subscriber, you can actually listen to it without any of the interruptions from the advertisers we don't want. So that's a benefit. Plus all the extra added content we'll add to it. And to the non-subscribers and the people that say at the events when we're at, hey, Greg, Ashley, Matt, Charles, we love what you hear, but you know what? We're not going to pay you for it. That's great. That's okay. And you don't need to, but you will listen to it 3 days later, and the people that listen to it the next day, and as we don't give any advice, but we've been told that Matt's not even told he's the songbird of his generation, but we've also been told that we help people make a lot of money through either saving money from doing things that are stupid or making money when we tell people what we're doing. And that's a compliment, and it'll help pay for the costs and help pay for the personalities on air here, because we are taking our time and all that. And
we're gonna have to start. We're gonna have to start paying some of these guests that we have.
I'm curious.
You don't get the high end guests without giving them a little shake.
It'll be on Vimeo.
Greg, are you in an office or are you outside? Because it looks
he's on his. He's like the Jetsons.
Isn't it like it's like blue sky? It's crazy. If I knew how to take that off, I'd show you. It's actually pouring rain here.
Okay. I like it. I like that background.
You like that? You instead of the mess that my office is upstairs. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know it's very distracting to you. Ash, that's really exciting. I'm sure we'll put out some way for the people to go ahead and sign up and subscribe on the website and whatnot, all that, right?
Vimeo walks you all through that. Dave's setting that up for us, and then we'll send an email. We'll send an email out. The proper terminology is we're going to give access to people within 12 to 15 hours after we record it. Because if we do it on a Tuesday,
it's going to be a nominal fee. It's not going to be anything crazy, right? I mean, it's like nobody. It's not going to hurt anybody to They probably can make a 1,000% return within the first week by just listening to us.
I feel like Greg sometimes when he gets on these rants, he should sell education courses to car salesmen.
Yeah. Yeah. $49 a month.
Hey,
I mean, that's nothing.
Let's talk about, speaking of guests, did you see Russ Taylor coming out hot with his late night rebuttal to the coalition? I thought that was fantastic. I'd like to get Russ back on.
I saw it, Matt.
Points and
I didn't read it. I didn't read it though. I saw it.
I did. It's thorough and devastating. So, on this particular topic, I'm sort of in the middle because I work for a U.S. sawmill and I understand what's happened with the coalition over the last 15, 20 years. I get it, but I also am sympathetic because we all of us deal with Canadians all the time and have for years. And some of the best people I've ever dealt with in this business are my Canadian brethren, right? And then, you know, Hampton has a financial interest because we own Canadian production and Canadian trading company. So, and so do you guys. So does Sitka. You guys share a similar business model. And so, you know, but then
one of our
beyond
mills
that,
is shut down because of this situation.
I mean, but beyond even that, there's something that's affecting both countries that has nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do with the coalition or economics. It's all to do with emotion and environmentalism and activism. And those things have been happening in Oregon for 40 years, but they've crept up into British Columbia, and now they're dealing with that. And that comes from outside the industry or governmental changes. And they're dealing with it. And that's another big part of why production in British Columbia is way down, is because of that. We've talked about it.
Yeah, and Logie said a good point the other day, and it's true. You fly over Canada, there's plenty of trees, regardless of what some people say.
Yeah.
You know,
I did not see what Russ put out. I mean,
if there's a way I can post it, I will.
Yeah,
it's good.
I love Russ, and I love having him on. And I just, I mean, it was an eye opener when we were in Vancouver a year and a half ago, and I got to hang with Charles and Mitchell for 3 days. I mean, I don't know that I've fully recovered from that time, but Zoltan, the attorney for the coalition, gave a pretty straightforward rundown of Matt went dark on us. And while all of the points we can talk about, the emotion and whatnot, I mean, in Ash, kind of the situation with the CD and AD, I don't see where there's energy to change the current situation on either side right now. I mean, so we're going to go through. There's going to be another adjustment. We'll probably be getting the preliminary adjustment that'll be in August again, or September this year, pretty soon, or we may have it already. I think we thought that the AD and CBD were going to go down in the third quarter of this year from the current rates.
Well, the TACO, TRADE, runs oil up to $200 a barrel. The taco trade, we may ask Canada for their cheap oil to come across and throw in, in the negotiation, that they don't have to pay anything on lumber coming across. That's my wild card. Because what is,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you just said, but sure.
The taco trade. You don't know what the taco trade is?
Why don't you enlighten us? Because I'm not sure I know.
Isn't that where it says Trump always chickens out? That's the taco trade. So every time he talks, the market goes both directions in volatility real quick. So
Yeah, I think at this point, listen, honestly, it is, it's significant today. Oil is up $10 a barrel, 110 right now. And I want to talk a little bit about the whole, logistics continues to be probably one of the biggest issues on our industry. And one of the things that I'm starting to see also is from Eastern Canada. I don't know about Western Canada and Western US, but I'm getting reports now from Eastern mills that they're not getting all their cars and they're getting missed switches. And so, I'm waiting now. Unless I miss something, the choo-choo train needs diesel to run. And so I'm waiting for like rail rates to go up. When they put a surcharge, the amount of increased cost on one car on a train, they increase the cost on all the cars on the train. It's like
they did that yesterday, Greg. We got a late afternoon.
Oh, did you get one yesterday? Okay,
yeah, starting May 1st, the UP and the BN, and I can't speak for the CN and CSXT and CP, but I'm sure they'll follow suit.
They're coming.
Your rail car prices are going to go up between $500 and $800 a car, right. So that's $5 to $8 a thousand roughly.
Yep.
On dry lumber, on green lumber, that's probably more like $8 to $10 a thousand.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and that's going to get absorbed by the customer. I mean, or the mill. If the market were to tip over, then we'll just have to eat it. But if the market stays like it is, then that cost will get passed on in freight. And then the trucking problems that you're alluding to are heaven and hell. It helps us. It helps us a little bit with our customers because we have wood that we can supply them. But the moment they give you a PO and say they need it there tomorrow is like hell. You're like, oh God, you figured it was going to cost $500 freight to move it to them. And then all of a sudden you're like, you make a call or two and you're like, oh, it's going to be $850.
Matt,
the surcharge now for service is becoming ridiculous.
I'm giving two prices. I literally go into LoadSmart, which is free. Anybody can get on it. And I look at what the rate is. And it's probably one of the highest rates you're going to pay. But that company has a 0% dropping, right? But they'll do your load. That's the high. If somebody needs it tomorrow, I give them that price. And if they need it like 2 weeks from now, you're right. There could be a price difference of $10, $20, $30, $40, $50 a thousand.
No, there's a $30 to $50 a thousand spread between the I absolutely positively have to have it there overnight and the regular 2 to 3 week ship time. I did a back of the envelope last night on how much additional freight we paid in the month of March versus what we'd originally figured those orders on the freight. And it was over $100,000. We've obviously had to pay whatever the market prices have gone to. We're using those market prices now to quote new orders. So hopefully we won't have that kind of slippage in the month of April. But I mean, it was significant, and I mean, and that was just for us.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly problematic for people that are back-to-backing stuff, which isn't a business that we do.
What is the value proposition of back-to-back in this business?
Especially when you add this freight variable debacle to it, and
No, I'm saying, what is the value proposition of that? I mean, in like commodity lumber back-to-backing. I'm just saying, like, is it?
God, he's going old school on me. How about this one, Greg? What if you're an expert at something that very few people on planet Earth are, and you have connections that other people do not? There's your value as a back-to-backer.
I mean,
but it would be a niche type thing. It wouldn't necessarily be a commodity.
From home.
I'm just saying there are exceptions to that rule, but yeah, I understood the sarcasm in your voice. That was deep. You're spicy today.
I want to talk about the Southern Yellow Pine market. Ashley, I correctly identified last week what a huge discount the May futures were to the cash market, and they had a little bit of a rally, and that was really interesting. And then I looked today, and what was Eastside print what's the Eastside printing in the index right now, Ash?
595. 595 Eastside point.
And I got May down 13 today at 535. So is what's going on in the cash market in pine, Charles? I mean, I saw that the index numbers were all up, $10, $15, $20, $25. Is that reflective of the trading levels?
I think the board's actually giving you a truer picture of what's happening as far as price action goes. I mean, obviously Random Lengths and their day-to-day publication is useful, and it's a directional pull and a tool. But I mean, a lot of premiums are, non-existent or minimal compared to where they were 3 weeks ago. I mean, I've had some really interesting conversations as far as, what the potential downside looks like with some major producers and some major partners on our liquidity side. And, the downside isn't as large or extravagant as many may think it could be. Just fairly simply, you look at how much pine's up and what has happened to spruce. I mean, spruce is that is really the conundrum that I'm not understanding. How is
Nice.
spruce kind of laid flat between 570 and 614, and you know, pine's up $150 in that time frame. I don't understand that.
Well, it's a good question. And it's not just spruce; it's hem fir and Doug fir. I've been looking at some lists, you know, from the Western mills this week, and I've seen that the hem fir and Doug fir price at 2x4 is basically the same, which is unusual, right? So, you know, Doug fir should be a premium to hem fir, and hem fir should be a discount to spruce. But right now, they're all about the same. So there
what does
doesn't
that tell
seem
you with your wonderfully tenured career? What do you think the market's going to do?
What I would do if it was me, if somebody put a gun to my head and said you've got to do something, I would just go out and buy every stick of hem fir and spruce that I could get my hands on that was slightly discounted, because it's basically running into the number 3 utility price that I'm getting on low grade right now. And so that's what I would do. If, you know, in my career, there's been a couple of things that I've said that are true.
There's more than a couple. Matt,
well, here's one of
couple.
them. When white fir and Doug fir out of the inland is cheaper than spruce, shut your eyes and buy it all of it. I mean, you could wipe out the whole inland industry with 25, 30 POs and then just sit there in the catbird seat for 2 weeks and then sell it. That's true right now today. And then when green Doug fir is the cheapest species in North America, it's going to go up, right? I mean, these are all kind of obvious things to me that aren't really wise. I've just observed data. And then when low grade gets elevated like this, my caution flag goes way up, right? But that spread between the low grade and the on grade needs to be at least $50. And the most likely scenario is that 2 and better is going to go up 50 before utility number 3 goes down 50, because nobody has. I look for this stuff all day, every day. I'm a fairly large buyer of it, and it's almost impossible for me to buy more than a couple cars at a time. And so is that going to stop being tight in 2 weeks? I doubt it. Maybe in 2 months, but not in 2 weeks. So the short term, the smart money is going to go buy the next best thing, which is either standard better West Coast species, or 2 and better West Coast species, or Eastern spruce, or yellow pine. If it drops a little bit, then that's where the mojo is going to be. And there isn't really a lot of 2x4 hem fir laying around out here. We talked about that last week. There's some Doug fir, but not as much. That's been cleaned up. And most of the spruce I'm seeing, the 2x4 spruce I'm seeing, is either Eastern spruce. There's a little bit out of BC, but it seems to be heavier to 2x6 right now. Seems like the mills are targeting more 2x6.
So interesting is yesterday, I mean, like one of the quotes, they're looking for a couple trucks of number 3 up into the Midwest. And, you know, I pinged our low grade guy, and he said, no, he didn't have anything. So I just winged some numbers. I kind of put maybe a modest discount to my 2 and better price. In some cases, I looked, actually, one of them, I was selling less than that like a week ago on number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I got the orders.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you know, so, you know, to your point, Matt, is like the prices of number 3 continue to go up, and they're basically, you know, now you got to sub that. You got to sub number 2 for those orders.
Yeah.
So back to my original question, though.
Charles, and talk about pine.
Whoa, Charles, what were you going to say?
But back to my original question, though, right? I mean, you're talking about species that are supplied in the least volume compared to pine, right? Why is it that they are so dormant? Is it a supply chain issue? Is it a demand issue? Is it we're taking over your market share? What does your gut tell you?
Well, I mean, 2 things. I'll answer that 2 ways. One is, I mean, the prices have moved up. There's been a steady move up in the prices. I think it has more to do with how pine producers sell their lumber. And You know, I mean, honestly, I just think that they've jammed the prices a lot harder and farther than maybe they needed to hold on to control of the market. Is if you're a pine producer and you've got a 3-week shipping file, you're in a power position.
I'd love
if you're a pine
to have
producer, and you
I
have
would
lumber
love to have
available
a
for next week-
survey.
Huh? Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'd love to see if we can get a survey to figure out who actually has a real 3-week order file in pine producers. I would be intrigued by that data set. Not that anybody would give us transparent information, but you know, I wouldn't expect them to. But I don't think there's many pine guys that have a solid 3-week order file. Very
And
few.
why? And why wouldn't you? Right? I mean,
but
right?
beats the
I
shit
mean,
out of me. To be honest,
6 months.
I got
6
it.
months ago, 2x6 number 2 pine was sub $300.
Yep.
You know, print today is just shy of $500. You would think that you should have a maximum shipping file. Even if it's $50 below this price.
Well, you think about too.
I would think, Charles, that to answer your original question, because I think you were asking about not pine, the other species. I believe that on 2 and better lumber and 1650 and MSR and things like that can be used as 2 and better lumber. I believe that a lot of our customers nationwide have been just feasting on distribution and avoiding the painful car buys. And at some point in time, the merry-go-round is going to quit there too, because guys are going to run out of stuff and the trucks are not getting there anytime faster. I mean, it's just getting harder. There's more trucks out there to be booked than there are trucks available, and that's driving the problem, right? And so at some point, buyers are just going to have to start buying rail cars again, especially if they want to beat that $5,000 or $8,000 increased price, ship it in April. I would think that right now, today, like you're going to start seeing some increases in 2 and better pricing, and I think that it'll come. I'm going to be patient here. My prediction is that those prices will go up as people recognize these things that are true.
Hey,
Wait,
Charles, here's one, theory is that what happened last year was there was a big switch on a lot of contract business away from spruce to pine.
Yeah.
Right. And so, less contracted spruce, more contracted pine. So that there's that incentive to goose that spot market price, because you have so much more wood going out without any price discovery. I mean, we saw this, and here's the interesting another corollary to that: finger joint studs in Texas. Last year, finger joint studs in Texas, the print price was $50, $100, $1,000 over the spot market price. The market was over contracted on finger joint studs. Fast forward to this year, under contracted with finger joint studs, and there's premiums.
Yeah, the cash price is a premium.
There's premium. So I mean, you can't underestimate like what dislocations occur by people committing to taking lumber without trading the spot market. And I mean, my recommendation is, really, nobody should have any contracts at all. They should trade the spot market. Then you'd have really true prices all the time. And that's not going to happen. I know.
Yeah, that's a nice dream.
But back to,
no, it's not going to happen. I know. But if the most dysfunctional markets are the ones that have the highest amount of product going without any price discovery.
Yeah, but
makes sense.
there's reasons for contracts though that have nothing to do with price. And like if you just look at the Home Depot Lowe's business model, they just need a constant source of supply, and they have to go out into the world and talk to every single sawmill in North America that can produce something for them and do a deal, because their volume is so large that that's just how they do it. and they're getting a proprietary grade. They're getting special, paper wrap and barcodes in some cases. So, they're paying for a service. Now that's different than say how a large multi-location lumber chain is going to do it, but they want to lay off a certain volume of their open market purchases on contract just because it makes their life a hell of a lot easier. If they had to buy every single car and truck that they needed in a day's time, they'd have to go out and hire another 10 or 15 buyers. And so, from a corporate perspective, it's just smarter for them to get people to commit to VMIs and contracts. It helps them manage their money also. So there's some logistical things that are part of that math that have nothing to do with price discovery. It's all about service.
And I'll just tell you how it skews, I'll tell you how it skews the market. When you have flexible quantities and people are taking more of that product, it makes that lumber disappear. It gives the appearance to the rest of the market that there's less supply, right? And so the prices run up. And the flip side is we saw this over the last 24 months is when they take less, then there's a backup of that product and there's more supply available to market, so it just, it ends up.
Greg,
yeah.
All four of us on this pod, do you guys like contracts or not? For your own business?
No.
You're the seller.
I have no contracts whatsoever.
You don't sell anybody on contract?
Nope.
Out of the mill, yes.
Out of our mill, we do.
I like contracts.
Yeah.
I mean, as a seller, I like them.
Yeah.
And as a buyer, they like them too for different reasons. But look, if both parties are satisfied with that, then I don't see a real issue with it. It's just it does skew the data that you're talking about. It does tension up markets. Otherwise, if we had to sell if JD Irving and Hampton and everybody else that makes premium studs had to go out and sell their premium studs in the open market every single day, it would be so different, right? It would just that's a specialty item. It's not a commodity item. But if everybody had to go out and sell those in the cash market all day long, every day, it would be so different. It would be I think it would be kind of unmanageable, really.
Well, I think what Greg's really trying to get at is the whole contract thing is we're not disagreeing with the importance of it from a producing standpoint, but what he's saying is it creates an illusion on market movements either way, right? And when you're in that scenario and you have hypersensitivity via, black swan event, right? Hypothetically, we lost 40,000 truck drivers in 12 months, right?
Yeah.
So then when you present a scenario to where some of these major end users have increased their contracts a certain volume, you create a sensitivity in the market as a whole. I don't think anybody's debating the importance of it from a producing standpoint. I don't like to sell on it because I like the risk and I like the opportunism of actually transacting day-to-day business. But if I was, producing 1.5 billion board foot, I understand the importance of it. Now, to your point though, Matt, if you're talking about JD and y'all producing specialty premium studs, you would have no incentive to do it anymore. So you wouldn't do it. So, I mean, it's six in one hand, half a dozen in the other. I think it's just an inflection point given where we're at in the circumstance. That's all.
Real quick, Charles, I hopefully you guys didn't already go over this part of it, but Southern Pine, you were asking why are we up so high? I mean, Southern Pine, if I think about this, made the initial move up before the other items did.
Yeah, back in November.
And it probably was really telling us more about freight before we knew it than anything, right? It probably was a canary in the coal mine. Because if you think about it, 4-inch and 6-inch Southern Yellow Pine do not generally get reloaded at any reloads because most of the time, every Southern Pine mill sells all their lumber on trucks within a 200-mile radius of their mills. Sometimes they ship it on rail cars, specialty MSRs and all that up north, or truck it, which I doubt is being done now. But if everything ships within 200 miles of a mill, I bet you that on average, all the Southern Yellow Pine mills freight is up $50 a thousand on trucks. On trucks, what's it at 200-mile haul last year in the third quarter versus right now?
50%.
$50. I'm just throwing a number out there. What do you?
That's like almost 1,500 trucks.
It's probably up 50%.
Yeah. That's
If
what
it
I
was,
was.
if
That's
it
why
was
I'm
maybe-
$500 or
asking.
$600
Yeah.
last year, now it's $800 or $900.
Yeah.
Certainly could be. Okay, so if you're a buyer or a trader and you see this trending this way, and what are you going to do? You're going to buy as much 4 inch and 6 inch as you can because you don't think the price of freight's ever going to go down, and it in turn pushes all these prices up. They just keep running.
Yeah.
What's the board? $50 discount, right?
Yeah.
And not only that, there's so many different regions that are available to ship out of, and this is where you got to get creative where you're pulling stuff out of. But like I said, 4 inch doesn't get reloaded. It's not sitting on the ground up in Northeast reloads or all that for the most part, not very much of it. And I mean, it'll also probably be the first thing that tells us when this market's rolling over, when it starts moving lower. And I think it's something you got to really keep an eye on that 4 inch. And maybe the CME contract is telling us something right now. I don't know.
So
What is
here's
Pine
what-
doing? Is it down?
The futures was down the 13,535, but all of
Like, aren't all the financials down today?
yeah, and like lumber's down 10,
Yeah.
$10. Maize
Who
down
cares,
10.
right? I mean, does
13.
it change your cash? Are you
So
able to buy lumber easily and sell it is really hard?
here's what this is me like bouncing some stuff off you guys, trying to, what I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to understand so I can be understood. All of last year, the futures was carrying like $30, $40, $50 premiums to the cash market. And we kept rolling every time, picking that up, and the market kept going down, right? What if we flip the switch and, futures is going to carry a $30, $40, $50 discount, and the cash market is going to keep going up?
Yeah.
This is the question that I've been posing to a lot of people is when they ask me, Greg, what is the meaning of our
Papa G.
have we
It was the limp.
have we
It was the Limp Biscuit trade last year.
have we
just
no,
kept
but
rolling.
have we flipped the curtailments in 2024 and 2025? I mean, I just saw that we there was less lumber available to the US market last year than the year before. It's like, I don't know, billion board feet or something. We got the number yesterday from Kip. US shipments for the first 3 months of the year from Canada down 21%. We were on a call with a European producer today. What do you think it's down? He gave me the definitive answer. He said a lot. But we estimated somewhere between 30 and 40% lower than what it had been based on, vessel schedules, availability, blah, 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 blah. But if we've cut production more than the current run rate of end use consumption, then arguably we're still $50 or $100, $1,000 or more below mill break evens in Canada and Europe, and you're not going to get additional supplies from there. Then we're probably going to stay up until summertime. We're going to continue to grind higher, and a month, 6 weeks from now, we'll be higher. But if this has only been, a restocking of the pipeline because of the transportation issues and the seasonal increase and the fact that nobody built any inventory in the fourth quarter for the spring building season, then, maybe the market's done right here.
Hey, G, what's the technical term for higher prices in the front months than in lower prices in the back months? What kind of market is that?
It's called a bull market, Matt.
Yeah.
Bull up. Bull
Okay,
up.
there you
That's
go.
called a bull market.
So I want to switch gears slightly on that topic. We're in a bull market, I believe, and we've been in one since November. And it's been a slow grind. Like was teasing. I was talking to Charles this morning on the drive into work, and I'm like, yeah, it takes 4 months to grind the price of lumber up $100 or $200, and it takes 2 days to drop at 50. And we've all been through those types of markets. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because now I'm starting to think about, like, when is it going to break, and when am I going to be able to buy more low grade at a reasonable price, and when am I going to, stop wanting to buy lumber because the risk becomes greater than the reward. And I'm getting closer to that right now. The price that I'm paying for low grade is a 4-year high. It goes back to the tail end of the COVID era. And I'm bumping up already, passing in some cases 2 and better prices on certain lengths. And I don't feel comfortable with that, right, as a risk reward and analysis. So then other things I look for is, like, when do you get the blow off top? I always joke about, hey, when everybody buys everything from me all in a week, then what I call total capitulation, then I just want to find the exit. But there's another one that I haven't discussed, and I wanted to ask you guys if you've experienced this in the last week or so, what I call seller's arrogance. And I'm not going to name names.
Is this a personal thing that we're talking about?
No. This happens when markets get really good, and people that have been getting their teeth kicked in for years all of a sudden have the kicking boot and they kick back. And so they do things that are out of character. They say things that are out of character, and they become a little arrogant. And having a discussion with a person that you consider to be your partner all of a sudden seems more adversarial. And I'm starting to see a little teeny bit of that kind of behavior creep in to the market. And so if I start seeing more of that, look, I'm going to the exits. I'm just going to be like, okay, people are getting carried away now, and I don't want to be part of that. And I see disaster on the back end of that sometime in June or July. I'd rather just have my inventory down to around 0 by June 1st, if that's going to continue.
Matt, you mean like back in the fall when you said, yeah, I'll buy 2 cars at, at such and such a price, and they go, hey, we'll do that if you'll take 6 of them. Right. And now it's like, hey, I'll take 4 cars at such a price. No, I'll sell you 1. Right.
Yeah.
It's like, we'll say, so $150 lower, you needed me to buy more cars at that price, and now you want to sell less at the higher price. I think it should be the opposite.
There's things that are happening that are not a lot. This is not widespread, by the way. I'm just noticing it for the first time. It's been a long time, because you got to understand, we spent most of 2025 going down, right? I mean, we had 3 months up and 9 months down. And so, when
2 really good rallies last year,
we had a couple of head fakes that we made money off of, but they weren't really rallies. They were just emotion. Go ahead, Charles.
To Greg's point, though, right? You talk about head fakes, and you talk about tariffs, and you talk about $650 Southern Yellow Pine in March and the beginning of April, and we have Section 232, and we're getting taxed for breathing Canadian air or American air or whatever the case may be, right? And then literally that same Southern Yellow Pine mill or same P&W mill or whoever is selling that same lumber 2.5 weeks later at $150 discount. I feel like, to your point, Matt, producers have a tendency to lose sight of what's important, and what's important is turning lumber into cash. If you can consistently do that, you hold the keys to the kingdom. If you're selling 2x4 Southern Yellow Pine at print at $615 or $630, why wouldn't you just sell it for the next 4 weeks? Because you're going to miss out on $10 appreciation. What if you don't get it?
Yeah, but they think it's going to go up 100.
Big box says, I'm done. Yakao, I've had enough. And just walks away from the table.
Oh, what was that term?
Was that Yiddish?
That was a technical term.
What was that?
A very technical Cuban term. Yes. It's over. I'm done. I've had enough.
Right? Wait, hold on. Bring in the interpreter. Bring in the interpreter. Raul, come here.
Hey, listen, one thing I noticed yesterday, and I don't think many people, honestly, I wasn't a huge believer. We're big believers that this market was going to go higher this year because everybody thought stuff was overproduced. Interest rates were up. People were keeping low inventories. Freights were allowing people to keep wood on the ground all over the U.S. Customers, when they wanted to buy something, could get it pretty cheap or inexpensive. I don't like using the word cheap. Delivered to their location pretty quickly, cheaper than cars sometimes. All of a sudden, now you've got, I had buyers sending over RFQs the other day that usually look for one or two, looking for 20 trucks to locations, and that generally means, oh shit, our days of inventory dropped, and levers we were pulling to get this in, people are saying no to us. That one
Well, I also
person, the
I
person
also
we
think
talked
that they're
about,
trying to replace some car buying.
that definitely could be. I mean, it's funny. While we're sitting here, Greg, I got the 7th inquiry today on 2x6, 116, and 5/8.
Hot item. Hot item.
Seventh.
Yeah, hot item.
I'm guessing part of that is for 5 of them are for the same person. But I'm seeing, I think people, where's the wood in the pipeline? You made a comment about 20 minutes ago. Are people just gonna the first thing they have to do is get their days of inventory up? And from what I'm seeing, they just started doing that in this week.
Hey, do you guys want to do Mary Date Dump this week? We haven't done that forever.
Sure.
I mean,
No, I
you gotta
think
like-
I think
mean,
we
you
should
gotta-
have a real transparent conversation like we did the last time. And instead of Ash just whispering in the mic, Charles, are you short? We just tell everybody what we're doing. How about that?
Tell us you're
We'll
short
have-
without telling
we'll
us you're
save that
short.
for- We'll save that for going behind the paywall. You got to pay
Yeah.
for that. I mean, maybe we should save Mary Date Dump for the paywall.
Hey, Charles, just so you know, our mutual friend Justin called me on his way to the gym that day after listening to it. He goes, "Dude, that was so effing funny." When you asked Charles that.
I'm going to start speaking Cuban. I want to get on the same page.
It's Spanish, but yeah.
I just want to say that the momentum items from my perspective right now in spruce, things that have the best momentum, 2x4 and 2x6 10-foot trims. Those are by far the best items. And from an undervalued standpoint, just 10 and 12 foot for sure. 14 footers.
Go ahead. Sorry. I mean,
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah.
What I was going to say, what is call Southeast 2x4, 2x6 trucks? What are they worth? Carolina,
Southeast
Georgia.
6, if you don't need them fast and you can wait a little bit, we'll probably go 645 to 655. And 2x6s have bumped up quite a bit here in the last week. You're probably now looking at 675 to 680.
I was going to say they probably carry a $30 or $40 premium.
I mean, it's interesting if you look at the index today, they printed the same price on 2 and Better, 590 Great Lakes, right? But the trading market is still, and part of that, Charles, is that we own a lot more 2x4 than 2x6, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But
I don't think you're alone, Greg. I don't think there's a ton of 2x6 9s out there. I mean, I look at the business that we've done over the last 2 months on studs internally on rail cars, and we've just had a lot more 2x4 9s produced and sold than 2x6 produced and sold. And that's true for all trims, 2x6 8s, 9s, and 10s. We've just had like a third as much 2x6 as 2x4 in studs. Whereas in the dimension side of things, it's been a little different. We've had less 2x4 and more 2x6. So 2 different kinds of markets, 2 different realities, but you're onto something.
And we'll highlight, based on, last 4 or 5 years averages, you think about it as over the last 4 or 5 years average, 2x6 9s in spruce have averaged somewhere between $100 and $200 higher than 2x4. That spread has come all the way in. A lot of it was driven by Southern Pine 2x6 switching, right? And now what are 2x4 and 2x6 Pine 9s delivered in Southeast, Charles?
Anywhere from 590 to 615.
But that's on both.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I mean, Atlanta, we're right around $600. Raleigh, right around 597. Charlotte 590, 600.
So that, I mean, obviously that, you know, I mean, that discount, I mean, is narrow on the 4-inch, but and really a lot narrower than it has been on 6-inch. I mean, I can remember when
That's-
6-inch
You were
was
doing them for
150
200
or
less.
$200,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
That was that's part of the reason why I asked you, because the discount is not what it was.
Mhm.
So I wonder how that's going to affect
Right.
The
sorry, I
future.
just got an email.
Hey,
Well,
Ashley,
I
what are
how it's
your
gonna
married
affect
date
the-
dump stuff?
So if I like, you know, I've just had a couple comments here. 2x4 14s, we pointed those out a couple weeks ago. I mean, they're up quite
$50.
$50. 2x6
50.
104 and 5/8, love them still. You know, own a lot of them. Been buying them for 2 months and feel comfortable with them. 2x6 10-foot Western spruce. I mean, I think that's, if you can still find heavy cars at 10s in Western spruce, I think that's lagging. The Eastern market's trading 30 to 50 above that.
Call me.
2x6 14s, okay? 2x6 14s, 2x4 120 and 2x6 120. If you're a remanner or got a saw, you could buy 2x6 120s yesterday in stud, volume of them around 550 to the northeast. And we're selling 2x6 116s at 550. So that's a cheap trim if anybody can convert
650,
those.
650,
650.
650.
So I mean, $100 over the
I was going to
2x6.
say, that doesn't really cover your cutting costs.
Well, no, it depends. It depends who's cutting it, right? We got
You're
customers
like
that got their own
you're like the
saws.
gnomes in South Park, you know, like
What do you guys think it cost to PET something?
depends if you own the saw or if you have to rent
That's what
it.
I'm talking. I'm sorry, if somebody owns a saw and they can do that, which some of these
$75 a
guys-
thousand on the open market.
Yeah,
That's a
So-
sell. Charles
So-
will cut for less than that for you.
I like 2x6.
Not with the order file I got.
I like 2x6.
Yeah.
I like 2x6 14s. You know, couldn't give them away. We've been trying to give them away and not get value.
We've given plenty of them away.
But those are up.
Call me.
And Matt, one thing that I did see, you said about kind of like the ego of different people in different markets. Like the thing that bothers me is when you support somebody in the whole market when it's shitty and everything, and then they send you a list over with no pricing on it. Just like here, like ask us specifically for what you need. It's like, really?
I'll tell you a funny story. This is a true story. This happened during the pandemic. Along those lines, Ashley, there's a mill that I've been partners with, and I'm talking like partners that I've bought lumber from for 25 years. And if I'm not their largest customer, I'm their second largest customer. But I'm definitely friends with the owner, and you know, I've integrated businesses with these people for a long period of time. And during the pandemic, the sales manager, who has since retired, I'd call him up and say, "Hey, I'm looking for 4 cars of 2x4, a couple cars of 2x6," and he wouldn't price it. He would just say, "What's your offer?" And I stopped buying lumber from him. And look, I'm not in the business to price your lumber for you, and I don't want to be the guy that sets the market, and I don't want to be your auction buddy. You know, there are mills that do auction things off, and I put bids in on it, but it's less than 1% of all the lumber I ever buy in a year's time, and it's a really unique product, right? It's a total niche.
Yeah.
But for commodity lumber, for me to be an auctioneer and a bidder in a market where I don't know what, I mean, the market was moving so quickly back then that we didn't really know what the price was. You sort of needed the mills to at least give you a starting point. And if you disagree with it, fine. But if you agree with it, you would just buy it and move on, right? Like we've done for our whole lives. And I wasn't offended, but I just thought like, well, whatever goodwill I thought I had with these guys, it's gone. And I didn't like it. I just refused to engage. So we're nowhere near that kind of scenario in this market. I have not seen that kind of behavior at all. But that was the most egregious example of a mill forgetting about all the years and all the goodwill that you had built up. You know, and it was just out the window. You're just a guy bidding on something. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'll pass.
Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, look at, I mean, I think, Greg, the truck freight brokerage business is like that right now. I'm not
How
talking
many
about
how many
I'm not
dollars
talking
do you
about the
think those
asset-based
brokers are
truckers.
making on every truck? You know, they used to make $50 a truck. Now they're making like 500. They're going to Sizzler. You know, they're taking the family to Disney World.
And I'm not talking, Charles. I'm not talking
I
about
mean,
everybody.
the freight
I'm not talking about
rates are up,
everybody.
but we're like routinely, you know, we got, you know, the brokers typically, you know, they come in at somewhere between $300, $400, $500, $1,000 over like what the market rate is that, you know, we're paying on, you know, on the trucks. And the rate that we're paying is already up, you know, 50 to 80, 100% from what we were paying. But, you know, I mean, it's like,
So it's
you know, I mean,
it sounds like
I
some
just
of that
think
information that.
Go ahead.
So I real bad about interrupting today. I apologize.
No, you're good. You're good.
You're
I
good.
was
You're
going to say,
good.
so it sounds like some of that information, that data that Ash and I discussed, kind of lend itself to be true over the past 4 weeks, even though we had that conversation about 6 weeks ago.
You
On
guys
those
were
freight
way
rates?
ahead of me on the trucking thing. I had about a 2-week lag before it hit me. Remember, you guys were asking me like 6 weeks ago, hey, Beam, are you experiencing trucking problems? Like, no, not at all. I'm fine. And then all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, oh God, here it comes.
Yeah,
So it's like a
under my
virus
breath,
spreading
I think I
across
said
the
you were full-
nation.
Yeah,
full of
like
shit.
like Greg said, the problem is with the rates, those rates, the good rates, there's only 10 pieces of equipment for 40 loads.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
All I know is if you want to haul lumber a long way, like, you know, I was hauling lumber from Dallas to Chicago 2 months ago. 1,800, 2,000 a truck. Now it's 4,000 or 3,000 to 4,000, depending on what day it is and what kind of mood that guy's in. We were lucky enough to find a couple at 2,800. So there's real money. There's real data. I mean, if you're shipping lumber a long ways, it doesn't really work now on trucks. You're going to have to just buck up and buy a rail car. It'll save you money and hassle. You might not get it as fast. Now, if you need it quick, that's a different story. But I mean, the industry needs to go back to looking at rail cars is kind of where I'm getting.
yeah.
Asterisk there. Matt has no financial benefit of people buying rail cars.
I make more money on trucks than rail cars, dude. I mean, in this kind of
I guess that
market.
makes sense.
So it actually doesn't help me financially to steer people towards rail cars. I'm just giving what I consider sound financial, you know, reasoning based on what I'm seeing logistically out there. And, you know, I know some of our customers are bound by their boss. Their boss just doesn't and won't let them build an inventory. You know, like, sorry, we just aren't going to finance the inventory, and we're just going to pay more for our trucks, and so be it. That's out of my control. But if there's people that we are talking to right now listening that have the ability to flip the switch and buy, you know, an extra 5 or 10 cars and stop buying panic trucks on a Thursday, you know, at $50 premiums, yeah, do that. You should do that. And I don't say it because I'm trying to be a jerk about it. I just think that if I was in that spot myself, that's exactly what I would do. Right. I would just lay in a few extra cars and try to stay out of the truck market as much as I've been in it, because it's getting expensive. Period.
Hi guys, I got a 1 o'clock. I'm gonna roll. As always,
Pleasure's mine.
bit of slice, been nice.
All right, boys. Have a good Easter. Have a good Easter.
Glad to have Charles back on.
Easter with the you know.
Yes.
See if you can get somebody to kiss the bunny between the ears.
All right. Thanks, guys.
It's a great joke. All right.
Bye.
Talk to you later.
Is there